Hello there, everybody. Today we have another episode of Build Guides for World vs. World. This is going to be the Staff Daredevil. So, on your gear for this, you're going to first off notice that it is very, very glassy. It has almost no defensive stats. Your survivability comes 100% from being able to avoid damage in the first place. If you look at it here, you're going to see that it only has one stun break as well. I wouldn't suggest that if you're first learning how to play this class. I'd run two. Change out the Devourer's Venom for Shadow Step. On the gear, we have a Marauder's Helmet, a Berserker's Shoulder, Marauder's Chest, and then Berserkers for the other three pieces. Your weapons are both going to be Berserkers. You want to go Short Bow and Staff, Berserker's Amulet, Berserker's Back, one Marauder accessory, one Berserker accessory, and two Marauders rings. It's going to give you 68% crit chance with all of your traits that gets you up to 100%. That's only if you're at over 100 or 90% HP though. Plus, it just looks cool having that back piece on there. Someday I'll get the money to do it correctly. On the short bow, it's going to be Bloodlust and Energy. That's so that you can get in and out of fights quickly and build up Bloodlust easily. Primarily, you're going to be using Choking Gas, your short bow 4 skill, and your short bow 5 skill. For your staff, it's going to be Accuracy and Stamina. Accuracy for that extra boost in precision, and Stamina because it's just honestly broken. And for your skills here, on staff, it's going to be mainly just Vault and Dodge. Occasionally you can do a little auto attacking. Your short bow, just Choking Gas. The other two of them can be reflected easily, which makes them useless. And the other three staff skills are all short range and kind of low damage, which again makes them useless. You're going to use Withdrawal for your heal, because it's got a 14.5 second cooldown. The healing on it's respectable. Removes all sorts of damaging conditions. So once you're in the middle of a Zerg when you need to heal, you really don't want to be locked down. If you get locked down with this build, it's a death sentence. Assassin Signet for the extra damage. Roll for Initiative for the same reason as Withdrawal. It's a great low cooldown stun break. Breaks all the movement conditions, gives you back 6 initiative. Really, really useful for this build. Especially with Vault. That extra Vault you can get out of every roll for initiative is a lot. The last one, you can use Devourer's Venom, which is 10 stacks of 1 second Immobilize, or swap it out for Shadow Step if you need the survivability. The Devourer's Venom is really strong to use in group fights, because you can lock people into your Heralds and Weaver's bombs. Usually you want to use this if you're still with your Zerg and you want to put it on your back line, not your front line. That way it doesn't get randomly thrown off by a Firebrand. You can use it with Choking Gas to make it an unblockable poisoning immobilize. Just pretty much good game for anybody who gets caught inside of that Herald bomb. Using this, you can almost always get the first kills with your group. And then your final skill here is going to be the Dagger Storm. Great damage, great utility. You can use Basilisk Venom. I know some people do, but I really don't like it. It's one unblockable attack for each person it affects, and you're losing a lot of damage and a lot of survivability by choosing that over Dagger Storm. Dagger Storm, since the buff, is really, really strong to use, especially since you're going to be running the trait that reduces its cooldown anyway. On your trait lines, it's going to be Critical Strikes, Trickery, and Daredevil. Critical Strikes, you get a little bit of extra crit chance over 90%. You get crit chance so long as you're attacking from the side or the back, which is almost always with this, and a little bit of extra critical damage if your health is above 90%, which it won't be, so it might as well not matter. That extra 7% crit damage though is nice. A little bit of extra fury, a little bit of extra ferocity, and again another damage boost. And then no quarter for the ferocity it gives you. You can use Invigorating Precision as well if you need to use it to get a little bit more survivability out of your build. But once you get comfortable with positioning with this, it's not worth using. You might as well stick with no quarter, because you're gonna die in one hit regardless of how much health you're getting back at the end of every fight. Being able to kill somebody that much quicker is going to stop them from doing damage to you. In Trickery, you have Kleptomaniac for a little bit of extra initiative. You have Thrill of the Crime for Fury, Might, and Swiftness. And what's great about this is it applies from the starting location that you're stealing from. So if you use this while you're inside of your Zerg still and stealing into the enemy Zerg, the people around you are the ones that get buffs, not where you steal, like where you land. There aren't any buffs given there. I was running Lesser Haste for a little bit, but Vault and Bound aren't affected by quickness. so you might as well give everybody a little bit of extra fury. Can't hurt. A little bit of extra initiative, really useful for this build. Trickster is a condition removed and reduced cooldowns. I was running Bountiful Theft with it, but with the Sigil of Stamina on the staff, that Vigor is pretty much useless. And the only gain from this is that if you steal from somebody who has stability, you're going to get stability. So long as you're good with your positioning, it's not really needed. And having that extra cooldown reduction on 3 of your utility skills is a real lifesaver. It's gonna help you get in and out of combat without getting locked down. I noticed that when I wasn't running this, I would occasionally run into periods where I didn't have any dodges, didn't have any vaults, and didn't have any way to evade. With the trait, that kind of cleans it up, gives it a much nicer rotation. And of course, reduces the cooldown on Dagger Storm. Lead attacks is extra damage. You're going to use pretty much only Vault to build this up. So your normal burst combination is going to be Bound into Steel into Bound to get a better position, and then Vault times 3 with the Assassin's Signet to really get that damage out. Sleight of Hand is just for the Steel recharge. The other 2 choices are really lackluster. I could see using Quick Pockets. Might make it useful for getting out if you're having issues with Shortbow, but I wasn't having any issues, and I would kind of rather prefer to have the extra Steel cooldown. And then Bewildering Ambush is completely useless. On Daredevil, you get extra endurance and this ability to use a staff, a little bit of extra damage within 360 range. Staff Master is 10% extra damage so long as your endurance is not filled. It also helps to restore endurance. Endurance Thief is just extra endurance. And then Bound is kind of the big one for the build. This is what's going to give you 10% damage after every dodge that you do, and it makes your dodges do a fair amount of damage, anywhere between like 3 to 5k per hit. Alright, so here we have a little bit of gameplay. You can see me bound and steal in. The steal, for some reason, froze for a second, but then go ahead and vault after you get those off to build up some stacks of lead attacks. You want to try and stay on the back end of whoever it is that you're fighting, using withdrawal for better positioning. And then you can use your Dagger Storm to help break Aegis, which is great when your group's about to push. Then you can start really unloading the damage. Once the Aegis is down, you have people in there to fight. You can quickly decide fights, or quickly decide encounters. You see here, a lot of it's going to be evading, a lot of it's avoiding damage in the first place, and then I hit the line of warding there, which is a huge pain in the ass on this build. Now that we're back to more of a pirate shippy kind of feel, switch over to Shortbow and get ready to use some Devourer's Venom to lock people into bombs. They back off before it gets a chance to land though. I used it a little bit late. Still getting a feel for this class. Now that we're going to be pushing again, and try and swap back into Staff and get ready to start generating downs in the back line. As you can see, they're all starting to book it immediately. Good use of the stun break to get out of damage and reposition back into my group's backline. Then back to Shortbow to help clean up. It's great for locking down people who are already down, stopping them from getting MI'd back up. That poison pretty much denies MI completely. So here we have a clip of the Devourer Venom locking down. You can see him in the back there. 4 of them immediately got locked down and mobilized in that Herald Bomb. Here we have an example of using Dagger Storm to get through a choke point. As long as you have stability from your guards, you can push almost any choke with it. And this is just a great fight. You can see me stealing and trying to get into their backline as they're pushing towards us, where I can just fucking wreak devastation. Dropping them down back there, letting my Zerg come in around behind them and pick them off and finish them. Then I keep up the pressure here, don't give them a chance to regroup, don't give them a chance to break, and then chase them down. You want to try and stay right on their tail as closely as you can for the extra damage boost and because it's devastating to fight. It scares the shit out of people when they're getting hit for 10, 12k over and over and over again. It stops them from thinking particularly well, which makes them easier to kill. In this last clip here, you see kind of a standard ball fight. I start off in Shortbow. I think we're going to do a little bit of range picking at him. I wait for the tag to call for a push, and once we're pushing, that's when I want to try and again get into the back line. You can see here where I'm picking off 4 or 5 of them before my Zerg even gets a chance to get to them. And it's all of their high damage classes that are getting hit for like 18, 19k, so it takes out a lot of the enemy damage. Here I poorly used withdrawal. I should have turned more to the side and withdrew back into the edge of my group, and then just focusing on downs, trying to use that spike damage to best effect. This kind of stops people from straggling. It stops the pugs from getting picked off. And then we have the last final push here, where it's just a matter of cleanup. trying to get that spike damage out whenever you can. Trying to use Devourer's Venom again whenever you can.